Gargi, you look super tense. Like,
No, I'll be like okay when it I go in flow. So it's
Yeah,
the beginning. So yeah.
and we don't
Start,
have.
start.
Perfect.
Yeah. Hi everyone, this is Gargi Sinsinwar. I'm a college student and I'm a volunteer with FFF India. Today's topic being the outlook of the climate crisis during the lockdown and is the planet really healing? So I have Shankar Chaudhary with me, and he works in the farming, agriculture, and food sector. He's an active member of Extinction Rebellion as a Asia Regional Liaison and Global South Media Coordinator and Global South Support Strategy Circle External Coordinator. He is currently working on Rockefeller Foundation grant for Food System Vision 2050. So, hi Shubham. Uh,
Hi.
Let me just
Thank.
start with the first question.
Yeah. How
So
are you
there's like a
feeling
lot of
today?
anecdotal.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Is it audible now?
Yeah, yeah. Hi.
Perfect. Yeah. Good to be here. How are you doing?
Yeah. So I'm doing great. Yeah. So like, let's just begin. So like, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence of people, doing sustainable practices during the lockdown. Um, do you have like any reason to believe that this will continue when the lockdown over gets over?
Mm, okay. Anecdotal evidence of people embracing more sustainable lifestyles. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so just like for example, at my home, my mom is like, doing much more less wastage, and she's not buying stuff which is unnecessary right now, and she's just looking over food which is like currently very very important for us to eat. It's necessary. She's not making useless like purchases which is not required for us.
Perfect. Well, so these sustainable lifestyles, if you ask me, is a luxury that certain people can have and certain people can't have. In
Hmm,
sustainable lifestyles, I think some parts of our society was always sustainable in what they
hmm,
do, and some
correct.
parts started moving into cities or any kind of a convenience mechanism, and that's when they kind of.
I'm sorry, your voice is breaking.
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to say is that this is a luxury to have, to be able to be sustainable in the new
Hmm.
format of it. But did we have a good time to understand, to prioritize what we need, to not get what we don't require, especially knowing that it might be of use for other people or for later on times? Yes. So I feel like these kind of things will continue, and if more of us get value from it, we should not just stop doing things because it is the cool trend. But if we start finding values in not buying it today, buying it tomorrow, making an extra effort to do something because it means somewhere else, once we understand how related our worlds are, then I
Hmm.
think that this will continue, if not for a very long time, but at least for the next couple of years, which would be enough for us to set a new paradigm for everybody else, so that they can understand why people are doing it. It's not like, I'm just segregating for the sake of it. I'm segregating because it means that it will help somebody else to segregate it further.
Correct, correct. Yeah. So, how can we use this as an opportunity to build a more ecological, like sustainable economy? What do you think
Um,
about that?
how can we use this opportunity to build as an ecological and sustainable economy? Sustainable economies are economies which are not going to collapse based on fluctuations easily. They're resilient economies. And
Hmm.
what comprises of an economy? Economy is comprised by people in the current format of how definitions are. It comprises of people who do jobs and services so that they can keep the money running. That's an economy,
Correct,
right? Currently, even
correct.
if it is kind of wrong, we work with the GDP mechanism of
Yeah.
figuring out. Now, I think that the system in itself that we are in right now
Hmm.
is, and especially for people who are not into economics, that's what I would say. Like probably my mother, who's not probably into economics, and I have to explain this to her about a sustainable ecological economy, she won't really get it. However, we have to understand that there are always people who care. Now,
Correct.
these people who care that are present in the world, would they like to do jobs if they are told about things that they are involved in, which actually does good for the planet, where they can showcase their care for the planet? Then there would be jobs like this, where some of my friends would be going in jungles, not coming back to their houses for like 6 odd months, going on an expedition to save probably like a small pig, like a wild pig which is available in Asia, and they would do that because they care. Now, would that, in the
Correct.
sense of how we understand economy right now, give a lot of value to the economy? Maybe not.
Hmm.
However, I think it is time for us to understand that the way that we look at economy needs to evolve. The
Hmm.
the way that we look at resources that run an economy should evolve. Uh, it feels like a GDP, or basically something, feels like you have to add value. So if it comes as it is, then it does not have value. So when there is a water, like a stream running of water, then it does not have value. But if somebody puts it in a plastic bottle and wraps it up and sells it to you,
Hmm.
suddenly there is value added to it.
Value.
That's
Yeah.
what helps economies grow. But I don't think
Yeah.
that's the case, because we are not looking at the capital that we have in the format of natural resources. So we have to
Hmm.
understand how this sustainable word in the economy, keeping in mind ecology primarily, be built. And are there opportunities? Yes. Are we looking at the right people, though, who have that care, as I spoke about before, are going to be intrigued? And it's not going to be just another, like, I know it goes around as a flack now to be called an activist of some sort. It's better to call yourself as a volunteer. So you
Hmm.
don't want only the
Correct.
activist. You can't fill the void of the world in economies with just activists. We need people who are interested in doing what they do. So yeah,
Hmm.
I think that by communicating effectively to the newer chances, to the conditions that India gives its general kids, which is doctor, engineer, and all that, we can be all of those things as well, and so much more, because there are new jobs out there. There are people who are waiting for these kids, youngsters, who are to understand there are alternative media, there is alternative work available out
Hmm.
there. And if somebody can spend some time and energy, because it might get really confusing when you are like below 23, of what do I do? Should I save the planet? Should I get a job? What kind of job? And that all
Hmm.
contributes to economy. So I think we can use this opportunity by communicating it to the wider options that are available in present world, because now it's getting popular. We understand that this sustainable economy slash ecology saving is going to become a norm. It's not going to be like an added plus.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. So yeah, messaging it right to the people about I don't want anybody to be scared thinking, oh, should I get a job in the alternative energy sector? No, they should not be feeling scared. They
Yeah.
should be told, and it should be communicated that yes, probably as a cartoonist for them. We don't know that, but
Hmm.
yes, you should know that there are options and they're going to do well.
Hmm. Correct. So, is there any evidence supporting that there is going to be a long-term change? Like people are going to change. Like, we are seeing that rivers are kind of healing right now. We see many pictures and videos coming on social media. Is that something that going to be a long-term change?
Hmm. Uh, there are so many ways to answer a question, but primarily what I would say is nobody knows.
Hmm.
Nobody knows for a surety of how long this change would be. The only time that coronavirus would be completely wiped off of our brain is when every single person has been vaccinated. Now that will take some time, because there's a lot of people in the world, and vaccinations and clearing it for human use and testing it and trialing it. So we are in this for a while now.
Hmm.
It's like one of my friends, Nicholas, he says it's love and rage in times of corona. So the times are not over. It's not like just
Hmm.
because the lockdown is over, things are going to change.
Correct.
We're going to see tendencies where, like, a friend of mine has to go back to his house in Vizag. So then
Hmm.
he has to isolate himself for 14 days before he can meet his grandparents, just to be sure.
Correct.
Or some people who work in uh, the army probably would not be allowed to leave their home. Shikhar, one of my friends, he's not allowed to leave his army containment area, because army doesn't, it cannot take risks. So everybody's life somehow or the other would have gotten shifted. We understand that because of Corona. Now, in terms of long-term change that will support in any way towards public behavior, yes, because they now know that it is not completely normal. They might forget easily. We understand people forget very, very easily. They might forget. However, what its implications would be for climate crisis, that's nothing. It's still as bad, the situation out there. It's not like our lockdown for the last 3 months have accounted for more than 3 or 4% of GHGs. It is still as bad. Nothing has changed. We just see dolphins somewhere, and we just see cleared skies at a place which should have been clear in the first place.
Yeah.
That is not a sign, and it is a blip if we consider the damage that we are doing at this point of time towards our planet at the pace. But it is not being done only intentionally by certain people. It is also being done unintentionally by a lot of people. Normal way of I have to go to work probably is causing pollution. But they just don't know that they should not choose that, because only will then they think, okay, cool, it makes sense for me to not do this. So this, how long will this work out for us? I feel like Corona is not over. It's a very good sign. There is Israelis, I think, have a way of working with this. It's called Shmita, and Shmita is a break. After every 7 years, you take a break to take feedback and learning. And like your generation, 21-year-old, I think it is said somewhere, and there is no math about this, but it is said that you guys need to change like 11 or 8 jobs before you find out what you like doing. Now, if that's the case, of you needing to change so many jobs, then I think it helps to take a break and see where you have come. But what happens is that in everyday life, we keep on running. So right now also, we are running to figure out if the stop has helped, but we have not stopped in any way. We are still running. It's World Environment Day today. We have to do panels. It's tomorrow, some other day, we have to do another set of voice notes or something like that. And everybody is running. I think once in a while, what we need to understand is that even if this does not heal what we are undoing, it would definitely heal to take a pause and reflect on what have we done till now ourselves, or just ourselves. And if everybody did that, or if we can manage to have that conversation going with everybody, then I'm pretty sure that would be a long-term change. People will start taking a little break instead of continuously running, which blindsides them from everything. So video evidence wise, I've also seen a lot of conversations where animals coming into town is a big thing.
Yeah.
But
And somehow they feel like it's fake, but then it is happening.
it is happening. And I also know that my grandparents were really, really thrilled about it. They were like, wow, we can get this back
Yeah.
again. And somehow I'm like, wait on, grandmother, 1 second, what are you even saying? Uh, this is supposed to be not normal. Animals in the cities is not normal. Why do we have cities in the first place? So that I could have seen the animals in the
Yeah.
outside part. But cities are also growing. The
Yeah.
world is not the same anymore. If there is a part of the people who are like only jungle, they need to understand that it's not going to be that way. And if some people says that only other machinery and things like that, that also not going to be there. So this balance that we are trying to do, it cannot be dependent on the past. The balance that we need to get at is of the future, knowing that there would have to be compromises, but not in the format of a zoo, but in the format of a sanctuary. Knowing that we need to travel, but not at the expense of our mangroves. Knowing that we need to have houses,
Yeah.
but not at the expense of environment and clearances, right? And this balance cannot be fought separately. These two
Correct.
sets of people, they cannot be fighting it separately, saying that hey you and hey you. It is an inclusive fight, because they're all breathing that air,
Yeah.
and it's everybody's material that is being utilized. And if that's the case, then these two parties cannot point fingers at each other and saying no more environment because more damage right now. No, it has to be a sit down where people are going to give each other respect, and only then can we have a conversation, because we need everybody for this. We need everybody, and we have 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
So we need to be more inclusive, and that would bring about a long-term change and take more breaks. That's what I would say.
Correct. So how does the handling of a public health crisis, which is going on right now, kind of correlates with handling of the climate crisis? Do you think there is any relation between both of them?
Hmm. Um, I think the biggest thing that has been hit because of the health condition right now is supply chain.
Hmm.
And what do I mean by that? I don't have beds to take care. I don't have doctors to take care of them. I don't have location to set up a field hospital. I don't have this medicine. I don't have this element. I don't have food. I don't have ration. I don't have transport. I don't have, these are all things which connects one
Hmm.
to another. Now we stay in a world where there are so many of us that we have to be connected. We
Hmm.
cannot be isolated. You cannot not be a world where pens are not produced or pencils not produced. Otherwise, you have to learn how to do it. We
Hmm.
survive right now based on the shared skill and resource sharing that we have. What coronavirus does to me is to make me get scared that, like, without saying anything, I will have to cut off those relationships. I have to shut
Hmm.
down the sharing to protect myself or protect anybody. I cannot go suddenly say hi to anybody. I have to cut down on my love and how I show it to somebody because of their safety. Now, how did the governments deal with this sudden
Hmm.
flux of supply chain, a sudden flux in human behavior change
Yeah.
required? They did what they could have based on whatever constraints that they have. They did their best. Was it the best that was necessary? Maybe some for some countries, maybe not for some countries. Can we sit and blame anybody in this?
Hmm.
No, we can't. Because we have seen exemplary human beings come out, age no bar, who have gone ahead and made sure that they are going to give the food supplies, they are going to compensate for this. The lack that the
Hmm.
government has, our government, somebody else's government at that time.
Hmm.
The handling of what they did, ultimately, it was not politicians in some way who are doing this, right? They are also government
Yeah.
employees. They're government employees who does the handling of public health. And they're also stressed. We need to understand that the police are stressed. That's why they're fighting. There are good cops and there are bad cops. Their
Hmm.
doctors are stressed. They are fighting.
Hmm.
It is not a situation that anybody was built for. So if we have to benchmark how
Hmm.
we dealt with a crisis like this for the first time in modern history, not back in the history. In modern day, this is the
Hmm.
first time that anybody has dealt with it. And you know who was really good at dealing with this? Countries which have dealt with this before. So if I sit down and start criticizing somebody of how they dealt with it, instead of ideating, working, putting in effort of how next time we can prevent this, I think that would be a better utilization of our time in terms of handling, because I know
Correct.
what happened in my society. I know what happened in my surrounding. I can get them together because this is my problem also. I cannot expect somebody else to just fix it for me. And only I have the information because they don't have the time. Imagine one person who takes care of one ward. And now imagine you taking care of just your building. And if all of them call you for 5 minutes every
Yeah.
day, then you can't take everybody's calls. There is too
Hmm.
many people and
Correct.
we need to have stakeholders. Maybe we need to understand that how we handle public health at this time and how can we for our societies do it and seek help from the government. And if they
Hmm.
don't respond,
Hmm.
if they go ahead and use this time to do Zoom calls and cut open 93 or 195 different projects, then that's not good. That's, I will definitely say, but not to discount the fact that the government handled it in some ways really well in certain parts, to the extent that
Yeah.
they could, to the best that they could. Going back probably was not the best. Now, similarly, if I take it to climate crisis, that's your question.
Yeah.
If I can extrapolate this situation, we understand that mainstream media and government buying out hoardings out there can let even the smallest person know that there is something called coronavirus. It's a
Correct.
simple thing, a virus that
Hmm.
kills you. That's it. That's the science behind it. We don't have cure. Also, something I think people don't know that we don't have a cure.
Yeah.
We have a virus, however, and that's deadly. We understand. Now, climate crisis is not an easy problem. So now If the government is inadequate because our population just for our country is massive, with that, we don't identify what we are supposed to do in our own places to guide the government of our local governments, choose better people who are going to take care of us, actively participate, and then sit and expect things to just happen and then blame. I think that climate crisis will not have any similarity with how we fought it. But if we learn from this, if we learn that what is coming for us has multiple different kinds of heads, it's not like by killing one head, you're going to be able to save yourself from the other heads. And if we understand climate crisis in the way that we can count in our fingers, oh, that storm this year and this storm again and this storm again and this storm again, and that is because of some other thing, and these relations are explained by us on a
Hmm.
regular basis,
Hmm.
because it takes 30 minutes on
Correct.
an average 30 minutes on an average to explain climate crisis to somebody who has not
Hmm.
understood it before. I've
Hmm.
tried this multiple times with people where I don't speak their language, and it does not take more than 30 minutes for them to agree, which they anyway
Hmm.
agree. They know something's wrong. So
Hmm.
yes, I think that there is a way where we can take out the good part of the government being able to use the newspaper, the media, the mechanisms that is present already to give out that information that is already present, to do the same thing about climate crisis. And there could be a good parallel of how we fight amongst it from ourselves. It's a division that we need to understand. Does that answer your question?
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I'm talking too much.
Yeah, yeah, it does. So, do you think these governments, sorry, your voice is breaking.
Can you hear me now? I was saying that I think I'm talking too much.
Hello, am I
Can you?
audible?
You are perfectly audible. I can hear you completely.
Yeah, yeah. Hello.
I can hear you, Gargi. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Even I can hear you now, but your video is paused. Yeah. So I was just asking that: do you think these government of the world understand the link between the current ongoing crisis and the climate change?
When you say government of the world, are you meaning about governments which are there in countries that know about climate crisis because it's explained
Like
in their language?
all the governments in all the countries. Yeah,
Do they
yeah.
have a clue? Okay. So my answer to that would be that I think human beings are very good at understanding new concepts, very bad in explaining those new concepts for the person who's hearing it for the first time. I can understand that my house is on fire, but that is what I visualize as a house on fire.
Fine. Yeah.
Not, I can't understand how you visualize a house on fire. You might be
Hmm.
having a fire in a room and you're stuck in the upper room and it's just stopping this like staircase, and that might be scary because you can't come down the staircase. For me, I might be living in a one-story house, and for me the house on fire is very different. So the governments of the world are also very, very different from every way possible, because they are not just
Hmm.
one person, every country.
Hmm.
It is a
Correct.
mixture of a lot of different kinds of people. Now, do
Yeah.
they understand? I'm pretty sure in their machinery, if they can understand about what is needed for the country, uh, and they are doing a good job, then they do understand that this is coming from there on. If they're not doing a good job about what should be done for the citizens of that country, then they don't understand it as of yet. But I think that this question of do the government know or not know, like it only comes out properly if we understand what the citizens know or not know. And if the citizens don't know it, then I feel like the governments are not sure what they know about, or not telling us the entire
Hmm.
truth.
Hmm.
And I feel like there is enough reasons for them to not tell us, because it can be scary. I can understand that this is also difficult for somebody to suddenly acknowledge. However, I know that they should do what is right for us. And the right thing to do would be for them to figure out, and not for us to figure out how to tell our people only. They
Hmm.
and they should definitely come out from wherever they are, not telling certain things, and tell us everything so that we can help them build it. Otherwise, it's everybody's loss. I don't think there is any one winner.
Hmm.
I mean, like maybe even in climate crisis, some people will win if snow melts somewhere, and some people will not win. But if sea levels rise, everybody loses. If it
Hmm.
is getting hotter, everybody loses. So, at like to some parts of it, I think that it should affect everybody, but some people just don't know. And I feel like the government should definitely be telling us how these are related in the way that they think is right. Because I don't know how to talk to somebody from
Hmm.
probably Rajasthan in Rajasthani, but their governments would know, and it's still too late. And they should somehow try to link this understanding that more diseases, more locusts are just going to come our
Hmm.
way as we progress, and we do still have the way to curb some of those effects together.
Hmm.
Yeah, is my video still stuck?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, your video is stuck. Yeah, okay, great. So, Shubham, do you think there is any habit or practice that people are following right now during their lockdown, and people listening to us right now can take away to their like post-lockdown period? They can follow that practice, like for example, like just buying local, or like doing public transportation, yeah, or cooking at home, the simplest of things. So, do you think any of the habit?
Hmm. Everything is work in life. Even if you're cooking for yourself, washing things for yourself, traveling to some place for something, everything is work. And we hate doing work. We just like doing
Hmm.
fun things and new things. And taking care of your own
Yeah,
self is work.
correct.
It's a lot of work. If you really need to maintenance basically, it's a lot of
Hmm.
work for
Hmm.
ourselves. Now, these habits, if they can be in line with certain good practices, which does not necessarily have to force you to give up on something, but to adopt new things,
Yeah,
that
because
does
like
not let you
forming a
give
habit
up but
also takes a
improve.
lot of time. Yeah,
For some people, I don't like, that's about me.
correct.
I don't like generalizing everybody. I will not say it takes 21 days, because I don't know. It might take me 2 days. It might take me 3 years of my time to get on a new habit.
Yeah, yeah,
However, what I can understand is that if I am doing something, I might as well do it in the rightmost way possible. If I have
correct.
to eat, and if I can eat clean, then I will definitely try to eat clean. Now, in this aspect, you might say that it becomes more difficult. Where do I find clean food? Where do I know if I have local food or not? Now, these are things that require more maintenance work for you to find out, because you care about yourself. Now, if we can continue to do so, if we can understand that these activities that we take on in our day to day lives are going to help all of us, especially
Hmm.
to keep the future of tomorrow be in a happier place. Because I think that's what matters. Like your nephew and niece is primarily what I'm more scared about than anybody else, where like they are
Hmm.
too
Correct.
small for them to take care of themselves. And that's not fair. We can
Hmm.
still move around and make our choices of not doing like wrong thing by putting
Yeah, yeah,
unsegregating your
yeah.
garbage. Or we might be lazy and choose like, "Arey, aaj jaane deta hu, let me just put this together today, tomorrow I will segregate it." What's the point anyway? The uh, government does not really
Hmm.
segregate the waste. After I have
Yeah.
segregated, they mix it all together. They don't have any facility. But it would really do well for you to take this opportunity to go back and be like, "Hey, go down and meet that guy and be like, ye kahan jata hai?" And then
Hmm.
ask 3 or 4 or 10 questions at the most. We have done it for any college event. We have done it for any
Hmm.
interview that we needed to do. We just had to ask 10 right questions to 10 different people. And suddenly we have a little more knowledge about what is happening. Not more than that, maybe
Correct.
7.
Correct.
Apart from these habits that you're talking about, which is like eating local, which we have always been saying, or segregating,
Hmm.
or all of those
Hmm.
other things that we are supposed to do, like a
Yeah.
shower with a bucket or things like that. Well,
Hmm.
We need to understand that these are all human led, because we don't think that we have time, which
Hmm.
Corona showed us that we do have time. We just did not manage it.
Yeah.
We could not manage it because we were forced to go to work where probably we were not needed to go to work.
Hmm.
Now, if we have this time, then I can spend that time to identify another human in another industry and understand their work.
Hmm.
That what makes people respectable. We
Hmm.
stood somewhere and we banged and like did whatever not for the people who are working with the government, like the
Hmm.
doctors who are supposed to work and the waste speakers, and we clapped and we lit candles and whatnot we did. But if we
Yeah.
went and had a conversation with that guy, you know
Hmm.
what his problem is going to be like. He probably will not have had milk in 1 week, and you can buy him a packet of milk, and that will strengthen your bond. And then tomorrow,
Hmm.
when you're talking about something else, the security guy can talk to the guy who's segregating your waste and be like, "Arey, aise mat karna, theek se karna."
Hmm.
And this network, that's what I would like people to take away from. You go back home and inculcate this habit of going and talking to some more people who you have never met and understand how they work. And once you try to
Hmm.
understand how they work, will you have more respect for different professions. Somehow all these professions are linked, otherwise you will not be able to flush properly. And
Hmm. Correct.
us being able to understand that will also help us to understand a lot more things that are out there in the world, which is not just COVID related, not just planet related.
Hmm.
And good things will come out of it with this compassion. So that's what I would say. I would want people to take away the habit of talking to each other a lot more,
Hmm.
apart from this eating local and other things that is needed.
Hmm. Correct. I'm just checking the comments if people have some questions. Why people doesn't understand that growth and development should be based on greater weightage given to nature, sustainability, not on man-made infrastructure.
Can you repeat that question? I didn't get the
Yeah,
first part of it.
why people don't understand that growth and development should be based on greater weightage given to nature, sustainability, and not on man-made infrastructure. What do you
If
think
he,
about this?
if his question to me is to talk about why people don't understand, then I will question myself. What have I done to not make people understand? I'm not going to be able to tell people in general, why don't you
Hmm.
understand?
Correct.
If it's a question, then it is to someone, and most people in my life, they do understand it. I have got very few people who are going to be out there saying that I don't understand this.
Hmm.
What can they do about it is something that they ask again.
Hmm.
What can I
Hmm.
do about this? I understand this. I
Hmm.
understand that green is better than
Hmm.
like not green.
Hmm.
And we have been learning how to plant trees and things like that. What they don't
Yeah.
understand right now is that how can I work together? And what
Hmm.
is the need right now to suddenly start working together, to lock down things, to not touch each other, to maintain that distance, or to
Hmm.
save the planet altogether? They don't know what to do. Some of my friends come back and be like,
Hmm.
can I help in like putting some funds for the relief programs and things like that? I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you definitely can. Can I also come and volunteer? Yes, you can. Can I become a protester of some sort? Yes, please go join these guys. Hey, can I host a webinar? Yes, please go host a webinar. You're spending in
Hmm.
20, 30 minutes into contributing in the way that
Hmm.
you're there. So do not have this guilt, is the first thing. There is no
Hmm.
point in feeling guilty that you are not doing enough, because you will never be able to do enough by yourself.
Hmm.
Instead, have the satisfaction that you have tried. So if people don't know, I would rather not stay in that and be like, okay, cool, how can I make you understand? And as I said,
Hmm.
it takes 15 to 30 minutes to explain to one person. The first time you try, you fail miserably. You can't explain to them, and you are like searching for topics from here to there. You're like, okay, should I explain to you greenhouse gases? Should I explain to you that this is
Yeah.
going to melt? And when you do it for the seventh time, then you get it. You get it a little better.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
you understand how, if you explain and with what examples, people might get it.
Hmm.
And you have done your
Correct.
part. Now take a day off and then go watch something else, because you need to grow as a human being all throughout in different ways, otherwise you're not interesting. Like my background
Hmm.
right now, it's not interesting, even though it's a cool mask, because it has been there
Yeah.
for a really long time,
Hmm.
right? That's what I would
Hmm.
say. Don't bank on people, bank on yourself first. Don't feel
Hmm.
guilty. Go ahead and do a little bit, and you will get that fire. Most of us who are here are doing it because we tasted it.
Correct. So guys, if you have any questions, please drop them down in the comment section below. Okay, so moving ahead, how do you specifically see the fossil fuel industry coming out of this pandemic? Like considering that they are just using their economic argument to like invest more in fossil fuels.
Uh, okay, cool. Fossil fuels. Tomorrow, I have a tractor 350
Hmm.
kilometers away from Bombay, and I have to plow my field.
Hmm.
Can you make it happen in solar energy? Tomorrow, I have to plow it. If I don't plow it, then it won't run.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, do
Correct.
I stop that person from doing anything?
No.
I can't, because I will be taking away his livelihood.
Hmm.
Understand that
Hmm.
fuel is what got us here, but fuel is
Correct.
not what will get us there in the format that it exists, because it's
Hmm.
eating away our future.
Yes.
Everything has a transition period. Everything needs to transition, but there needs to be activity to understand that they're transitioning. If they're not even starting to transition, then everybody hates on it. But hating on it does not figure out a problem. We
Hmm.
need to figure out where the problem lies. The problem with the fossil fuel is its concept, not its existence. The concept that is there, where we burn carbon to get carbon outside, which moves us somewhere, that
Hmm.
concept is wrong. The
Hmm.
alternative concepts are kind of better. Do we have a great concept out there, which is like our sun, which is like an unending source of energy? No,
Hmm.
we still have solar power panels that will not be okay if there is a cloud that comes in front of it.
Yeah.
We have
Correct.
seen new like evidences out there in forms of
Hmm.
documentaries which are highly debated, where they are saying that what will you do setting up crores and crores of rupees of windmills if a sudden storm comes over there in 5 years and breaks all of that infrastructure out? Are you going to pay more money to even remove the broken pieces?
Hmm.
So the fuel industry is a very important thing. It is not
Hmm.
like we don't need fossil fuels. You will not be able to transition out, but we need to understand how. We need to understand that we don't need more coal plants if it is already providing energy just for the profit of it. We probably need X
Yeah.
amount of coal plants to be phased out by this year and compensated with these alternative technologies. There is a company in Pune that I was reading about that
Hmm.
day, which can make clear fuel, which has like lesser effluents going out by using plastic, and that can be
Hmm.
fueled in your normal present car without changing any engine, no nothing. It's a fuel that is really, really great. And it's in Pune, and it's a small company that does it with certain kind of plastic, and it's a clear fuel.
Hmm.
We should be helping these guys. We should be helping research that promotes these kind of things, and instead wasting our time talking about the fossil industry, the fossil industry. If you want to talk about the fossil fuel industry and say how it is bad, then make sure you make people understand that there is also a need for it. Only then will you have a conversation. Otherwise, you're just so polarized that nobody wants to understand who is in the right plan. Like if there are people who are working over there, they're going to be like, hey man, I'm not going to give up my job. I'm going to do my job, because do you have an alternative solution? Do you have another company for me
Hmm.
to join? Will anybody ever take me? Everybody hates me. These conversations needs to change. How we talk about it. That's what I'm trying to do in this. We need to change the
Hmm.
conversations, because the question seems very upfront. You ask me, how do you think specifically the fossil fuel industry is going to come out of this pandemic? I would say they want bailouts. We should not give them bailouts, and that's about it. End of story. That's not how we can understand this. That's not how we can be like inclusive in our conversations, for people to know that the fossil fuel industry needs to have a plan to be transitioned out. We cannot just expect it to come out of thin air, and we will have to be the ones who are helping pushing those conversations. A plan
Hmm.
of phasing out rather than a stop. That's what I'm saying.
Hmm. Correct. Okay. So,
Should I go slow? Am I too fast?
even during the this ongoing pandemic, we are facing extreme.
Am I being too fast?
Hello, your video
am,
is paused and even your audio.
am I being too fast? My video is paused. I
No,
don't know
you're
why,
going
because I
okay.
can see myself. Okay, perfect.
No, you're going okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just asking that even during this pandemic, we are seeing a lot of extreme weather conditions. So how do you see a response to this?
Uh, I mean, during the pandemic, we are seeing a lot of, you're saying natural disasters, and how are we responding to it? Is that what you're asking?
Extreme weather conditions. Yeah, natural disasters. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, correct.
what's the question again? How are we dealing with it? Is that the question?
No, how are people responding to it? Like,
Ah,
do they see the link between the climate crisis and the and its effects? That these are its effects.
no,
Do
no,
they
no.
see this link? How are they
Yeah,
responding to it?
I think I talked to a lot of people who are not on social media, and from there I understand that they know that the weather system is getting affected. They understand that something is wrong with the weather, but they do not understand that in the next 6 years we are going to have a permanent season change, and that's the call out, right?
Hmm.
uh, they don't understand the link
Hmm.
between the pandemic and the other thing, which is climate crisis, though partially they understand climate crisis, but not in the way that we understand.
Hmm.
They understand that something is wrong with the weather. They don't understand probably climate crisis, but something wrong definitely they understand.
Hmm.
And in terms of linkages, I feel like it's completely missing right now. I think
Yeah.
like in some parts it will be also insensitive to be, if somebody has lost their near and dear ones, I can't go and tell them, hey, somebody died, too bad, it's climate crisis. That would be not cool. And so I think it's a very touchy issue,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely. Yeah.
we also need
Yeah.
to like be careful about
Hmm.
not utilizing this moment, while you like being very respectable and careful and empathizing with everybody that is there. It's not an easy thing. We throw around these words as if like it's
Correct.
just easy. Hey, you understand pandemic, why can't you understand climate crisis? But like there is so much more to it,
Hmm. Correct.
right?
So we yeah. So we have a question. Uh, do you think that whether the rate of replenishing of natural resources have exceeded the exploitation rates in Corona times?
Say that again. The Your voice is breaking. I can't.
Do you think that whether the rate of
Yeah, no, go
yeah?
ahead, go ahead.
Do you think? Can you hear me
Yes, I
now?
can. Go ahead.
Yeah. So do you think that whether the rate of replenishing of natural resources have exceeded the exploitation rates in Corona times?
The way of replenishment of natural resources have exceeded in
Yeah.
corona times,
The
like,
exploitation rates in the Corona times.
very good question. Yes, it has.
Yeah.
It's called shock doctrine. Read up a book about Naomi Klein who talks about this. A shock doctrine is where the nation or its people are somehow in a shock, like the Iraq war, something really bad going on. Then I don't think about certain things at all. I just think about, oh my God, what's going to happen to me, my family who's there. And during this shock period, you do something else which the country is not really looking at as such, because that doesn't float in the news. That can be done on the side. I feel that that has been done with us as well, just like
Hmm.
so many other countries like Greece. They have found a new oil shelf which is the size of Belgium inside. It's massive. It's like, and like the tribal lives in Brazil and other places where they are getting affected, the same thing in your Africa, the same thing in Australia. Across the board during the corona times, the authoritarian governments have been taking advantage in some way, or they found time to do it right now because they never had the time to do it before because it was too
Hmm.
difficult.
Hmm.
Either or.
Yeah.
And I put my money on nobody, none of them, because like if you destroy the natural habitat without taking into consideration the people of that land, then that's a format of colonialism. If you decide for somebody else, if you are not from that location and you go there and decide, then you're just as bad as the British 200 years back when they came to our country and looted, but they have improved, and so should we. We don't go for systems
Yeah.
where we oppress people. We don't go for systems where we force people into doing what is the right thing. We call them for conversations and then decide with them. And that's what's missing right now. And so, yes, I would request any kind of activity that is going on, which is destructive to the environment, should take into account of the people who stay over there. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying make sure that there are more than just namka vaste conversations where the real thoughts are heard of the people who are staying over there.
Correct. Okay, so what opportunities can the food system avail with the lockdown, specifically with monocultures and pesticide and fertilizer intensive farming?
What opportunities can the food system avail with the lockdown, specifically with monoculture, pesticide, and fertilizer intensive farming?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing to understand is that the things that you mentioned out there are topics in itself, and I would require a day to explain it to you, which is one is monoculture, but I can club two of them, which is pesticide and fertilizer.
Okay.
Fertilizer is used in a way where you have run out of fertility in the present soil. And pesticide is used in a way where there are pests coming.
Yeah, to prevent it. Yeah.
To prevent it, or after they have come, to stop it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, these two things are very, very expensive. Very, very expensive, because the biggest expenditure that a farmer has is during weeding, where they take out other plants from across the plants. That's called weeding, so that your plant can get most amount of nutrition, does not grow deformed, gets all the nutrition around. So weeds are killed, otherwise the weeds will kill the plant. Or in pest management, and then comes in harvesting, where people have to be paid money to harvest it, because you don't have machinery to pluck out one chili right now. Depends on the kind of chili. I work with the agriculture system, so what I will tell you is that these are the things that are very expensive, and that expense is something that can be mitigated by making sure that you can do this where you are as a farmer. Now, there are biopesticides made with bioenzymes. There are preventive measures which were aired during Doordarshan, where they're talking about farm activities when we were young and used to come early in the morning, called Krishi Darshan. And they used to show all of these kind of things. Before the Green Revolution, also there were pests, and soil also kind of needed fertility. We learned all of those things. We probably got access to the bad ones, which are being controlled by big giant corporations. And in Corona, what I understood, because same for my suicidal farmers, these things that we call the pesticides and the fertilizers, they're called inputs. And inputs have to travel. So even to get feed for the chickens, for suicidal farmers, have to come all the way down from south. But there were no cars and buses that were traveling, and there was complete shutdown. So even if you allow fruits and vegetable wallas to move around, these essential inputs were stopped. So I saw severe deaths in the like chicken farmers, what do you call it, poultry farming in general, where and these poultry farmers are not your conventional badly made factory chicken pumping antibiotics. They are cage-free farmers who give respect to the chicken for just the eggs. And these farmers, they did not even have the capacity to get fertilizers from sorry, not fertilizers, bird feed from somewhere. So his job was cut off. He is now wondering, how do I feed my chickens? Because there is no feed coming. Similarly, for your pesticides and fertilizers, what I understood was that the agriculture system was depending on a lot of companies. And that can be mitigated at this point of time. We cannot depend on a lot of companies, but build these systems within all these farmers who produce waste of weeds and other things and whatever it is can make a common compost. They can make their own fertilizers. They can't right now because they are in debt. They don't have a choice. They can't think of making a fertilizer unit. But if they're given the chance, given the
Shubham,
aid.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think we'll have to end the live session right now.
That sounds awesome. It was a pleasure. I loved your questions.
Thank you for the conversation. Yeah, thank you so much.
Take care. Have a good day.
Yeah.
That was a little okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.